gosh, I'm alive. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. I'm your host, Matt Tardio. Today, over inside of UN, we got, 4 nations that decided that Palestine should be a state. It's really interesting that they decided to do that. We're also going to take a look at what the Israeli Defense Force is currently doing over inside of Gaza City. I was lucky enough, I guess, to be over inside of the Gaza envelope when some of the first bombs started dropping the other day. Last week over inside of Gaza City. It was kind of odd, sitting there with a cup of coffee, drinking my coffee, looking across a fence line, going, oh, look, there's bombs dropping on Gaza. I guess they finally decided to start assaulting Gaza City. Pardon me. Woo! You think that's going to convince them to give the hostages back? Probably not. As a matter of fact, I would lay out a plan here a little bit later on in today's episode that is precisely Hamas's plan, and it never was their plan to give the hostages back, that they're doing it systematically so Israel will, in fact, level all of Gaza. I do believe that Sinwar's plan the entire time was in order to have the international community take Israel down. Not Hamas, but by Hamas martyring literally every civilian inside of Gaza to the best of their ability. Maybe then the international community would stand against Israel. Who we got here? Bronx Guy coming in, gifting out 99. Appreciate you, buddy. Let's see what else we got here. Volk 1410. Dad's back from getting the milk. Yes, I am. I'm back from getting the milk. We're going to go over some of that milk today. Maui says it must be real, Matt Dippin. Yeah. I don't even know what that even means, to be perfect. I don't know if that's new kid language or what you guys have going on, but here's something that I do know. Right. Last night, this video actually started surfacing. This is reportedly Hamas violently executing 3 members of their opposition over inside of Gaza City. There's a video, which I can't play, because they most definitely shot these men multiple times. And I gotta say, after watching the unredacted footage from October 7th while I was over inside of Israel, this is not the first time that I've seen Hamas actually shoot people with their hands tied behind their back. Why don't you take a look at that? Everybody see that? Hands tied behind backs? Yeah. That's what Hamas does. They take people, they tie their hands behind the back, they shoot them. It's called terrorism. They do it all of the time. And for some reason, like I said, 4 nations thought it would be a good idea to recognize these animals as a nation. I don't know how that happens because they don't exactly have a functioning government. And the one that they did have, which is debatable, Palestinian Authority teaches their kids some really wild stuff. Things like the Quran is their weapon and children are the ammunition. These are the types of things that they're taught inside of school. But yeah, people want that to be a government as if that can actually hold any sort of weight over inside of the UN. Well, quite frankly, it doesn't. It's just a huge dog and pony show. So much of a dog and pony show, I don't even know where to begin. Now, what the IDF did do was drop these flyers right here over on Gaza City. Beth Ann says, glad you're back and safe and for the truth. Oh, Beth Ann, dear, we have so much truth to go over today. I hope you're ready for some truth. Yeah, so right here is a flyer of them telling the people inside Gaza City to get out. Now, reportedly, I've seen a figure as high as 500,000 people have refused to leave Gaza City. But I've also heard that Hamas is not letting the people leave Gaza City. So take that for what you will. Now, it's hard to say that the people are not leaving Gaza City or that Hamas is keeping them there when pictures like this exist. Here you have a bunch of people that gather around. Now, in this video, which unfortunately I can't show you, but I can describe, the people are literally cheering on Hamas. It's not like they all stood there and were like, all right, we're going to watch this execution take place. We're just going to watch all these people get schwacked, and then we're going to go back and we're going to go to bed. They were celebrating. They were celebrating just like they did on October 7th. Did somebody actually tell me to trim my nails? Do my nails need trimmed? Tom Bones says, fixing to lose my membership at the end of this month and won't be able to make any more super chats. Somebody hacked my Google account. Bones, you got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me. Why does this always happen to good people? I have absolutely no idea. Oh, you want to see some other people that'll tell you that, I don't know, how do you want to say this, that Hamas doesn't have support inside of Gaza anymore? I definitely saw things, and we're going to talk about them. I'm going to actually show you guys a video here in a little bit. That to me says that Hamas is losing support inside of Gaza. But then things like this come out. So I don't speak Arabic, like I've stated in the past. I don't speak squiggly, but I got a good feeling. I know the word Yahud, I want to say is Jewish or Jew. So I got a feeling they're talking about killing Jews, which I think is a pretty safe bet given the context of the video and the amount of people cheering him on. I also want you to take a look at the amount of young boys that are running around on the street over there. It's almost like they are raising them to celebrate this type of stuff, which we, in fact, know that they're doing. So all of those people over inside of Gaza. Lucas Sandlin wants me to do a pants check. And Lucas, I don't know if you know this or not, man, but there is an established minimum price for a pants check here on the Speak the Truth channel. And it's not just having a green name. It's not putting a check mark at the end of it. Well, I do appreciate it. Those things do exist. And I'll have you know, I am fresh back from Israel. So if I'm not wearing pants today, I think it's okay. You know, I think I'm allowed to not wear pants today. I think being back and being in my own shower and all of that other stuff. I mean, would you be wearing pants today? I don't know. That is such a nice video. I got to slow this thing down for you, though. Let's go ahead and slow that down to 0.25 and go all the way back here and just go ahead and mute it as we hit play on that 0.25, because you're actually going to watch some of these bombs falling down. Now, as this thing sits here and plays on repeat for you, I want to let you guys know. PWAX nailed it. Peasants with AKs. Thank you very much. I want to let you guys know. I got to see a nice piece of intel while I was over there. It was an older declassified piece of intel, and it was actually on, I believe, Gaza City, if my memory serves me correct. And I was talking about this earlier. I was talking about target density and everything else that takes place. It's only 650 viewers. You can show your boxers, Matt. Nope, not going to happen. Yeah, and this is unfortunately one of those things that ends up happening when you end up taking a break from YouTube. It just figures you're lazy and the algorithm doesn't like you. So be it. So we got 650 people hanging out here tonight. But let me explain this. The target density map that I saw for Gaza City, for a tiny portion, for one little tiny neighborhood, there was so many dots on this image that I couldn't count. Now, I was able to see how they build their target packets, the different legal layers that they actually put in place over it, the fact that they keep on to every single one of these pre-planned strike packages and hold on to those for legal reasons, that they're able to take those and send them up to the UN in case anybody wants to question a particular strike. They have all of the intelligence that goes around those strikes. Now, interesting enough, when we take a look at this, that target density map was, and so I do believe that map to have been accurate just because of the different intelligence that was shown on the area. That's definitely a lot of collection that took place. And it definitely fits when you have 40,000 Hamas fighters that have been building up an area for like 20 years, right? But this in particular, when I looked at just one neighborhood over there and the amount of intel that they have collected on there with two things, rocket launch sites, or what we'd call points of origin, POO sites. I know it's a funny name, haha, POO sites. So points of origin for rocket fire, known points of origin inside of Gaza City for rocket fire, in addition to tunnel entrances. With those two things alone on the map, you can't really walk one city block inside of Gaza City without walking past 5 legitimate legal targets that would be authorized for strikes. And I'm just telling you how it is. That's how bad that they have this place. It's how many like tunnels and everything else that they've dug. That's how many rockets they have. That's why they end up putting those things in schools. And we'll talk about all that here in just a little bit. But Hamas is holding on to these hostages for a reason, you know, and we all speculated and we all looked and we said, you know what? The reason Hamas is holding on to these hostages is because it's the last bit of leverage that they have. You guys are all thinking that they're not okay with dying. And I want you to remember this. Hamas is more than okay with dying, and they're more than okay with martyring their own people. Now, there is something extremely grotesque about the October 7th footage that I ended up seeing. Matt, will you give a shout out to Freckles, aka my wife? Well, hello, Freckles. How are you, ma'am? It's good to have you over here. Of course I will do that. There was something very key that I ended up noticing about the October 7th footage, and I ended up stating it over on X. I made a tweet and ended up getting 1.5 million views or something like that. I don't know, where I said, Hamas is worse than ISIS. And it wasn't a joke when I said that. I wasn't trying to be, inflammatory in any way. Hamas is worse than ISIS. And I say that for several different reasons. Thank you, Thumper, for gifting us Speak the Truth membership. Tom, I hope you grabbed that one, man. What it is from the footage that I saw, they did not take anyone alive unless they had to for the purpose of having hostages. And the reason they took those hostages wasn't to get people exchanged, wasn't to do anything, but it was simply to cause the Israeli Defense Force to go into Gaza City. That's my own opinion on why they did it. Everybody else they massacred and they killed. The UN has confirmed that sexual violence took place on October 7th to include gang rape, to include post-mortem rape. Things of that nature happened on that day. And when people ask, how come this stuff isn't released? How come we can't see the footage? Why can't we see these things? Show it to the public. Ask yourself if your son and or daughter, by the way, it wasn't just females, males also occurred. If it was your son or your daughter that was on video having their body desecrated by 3 or 4 different terrorists that had poured over from Gaza, would you want that shown, even to prove it? I know I wouldn't. If it was my body that was out there, I wouldn't want the world to see Hamas butt raping me. Not something that I would want the world to see. And the families are doing their best in order to protect that information and make sure it doesn't get out. But I digress, and I get back to the topic at hand, which is, on top of that sick garbage, that they literally murdered everybody. I'm going to say that again. They literally murdered everybody. And they did that after spending 20 years building up Gaza City, building up the entire Gaza Strip. And it's not that big. We've talked about it before. It's about the size of the city of Las Vegas. It's not that big. It took me just a couple minutes to drive across Rafah, from one side of Rafah to the other, to get to the aid distribution point that I went to. It's kind of cool, honestly, being on the ground in a location of some place that I've been studying. I knew that map inside and out where we were going. So it's kind of cool to actually know where we were at and what we were doing. Now, interesting part about all of this is, in my opinion, all of this was done in order to get Israel to attack Gaza and level the dang place. And I've got all of that coming up in a little bit. And it looks like Israel is doing exactly that with a lot of the different bombings and the different footage of everything that's coming out. Now, some of these pictures are a little bit old. Some of these people have figured it out, and they determined, yeah, we need to get the heck out of Gaza City. So over the last week, all right, what we've seen is, I don't want to call it a mass exodus, but a lot of people going from Gaza City, and they're starting to move down south. Now, as we talk about that, that's going to bring several other issues when it goes down to the humanitarian situation down in the south. I'll tell you, from being at the distribution site, I honestly didn't look and count feet and everything else, but just a rough estimate, somewhere between 30 to 40% of the kids out there need shoes. That's a real thing. They need shoes. I saw GHF treating several different foot injuries while they were out there. Lots of different people walking with limps for that reason, and all sorts of crap, right? So they need shoes. These people coming down from the north, look, you don't load it down a semi truck or a box truck or a freaking, what the hell do we call those things over inside of Iraq? No. Come on, we had a name for those things. Jingle truck. You don't load a jingle truck down with an entire home unless you're living in it. And that definitely appears what some of these people are doing. They've got jingle trucks loaded down with all of their goods and household goods, and they're taking that and they're moving on down. Those people are going to be way better off than the people in the south. But the people in the south that are over in Al-Mawasi and that have been out there for a very long time, struggling and rightfully so. But I can at least tell you that those people have built up a very good relationship with those folks over at GHF. But what I'm trying to say is that you have winter coming in, and this war just hit, and all of these people are now migrating down to the south. Somebody says bongo truck. Yeah, I'm calling them jingle trucks, man. Bongo truck is correct, but jingle trucks is what I'm calling them, because they always have all the dangly stuff on the dash. So jingle trucks or bongo trucks, same. All of these people are going to make their way down there, and that's going to create an even bigger draw on the system. And the reason I'm bringing that up before I get into what I went over there and saw is because they are going to be needing that help here in the near future. All right, they've got enough funding essentially to last them through December, so they're fully funded through December, but they're going to need more funding. I did even specifically ask the question of why are they not disclosing who their donors are. And the answer that I ended up getting back was, what was it? Those donors wish, and their donor nations wish to remain anonymous. And the chances are those donor nations are wishing to remain anonymous because their country likely doesn't agree with what the Palestinians did to Israel. And they don't want to piss off their population saying that they are over there donating the money going to them. I see some people saying wind chimes. Yeah, I don't know about that, but at least they got their bikes on the back of this one, right? Bikes are important. But I want you to wrap your head around that. So you have a couple big countries that came in and donated money in order to make it happen. World Food Program's failing to get their stuff out there, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But they're going to need money. And actually, you guys, if you go over to GHF's website, they actually are looking at taking donations, and they are looking at solving this problem. I learned that there was a guy out there on the site that did, like, in fact, get shoes and stuff like that and was helping to distribute shoes. You've got Samaritan's Purse that's out there, but they need a lot of help. Back to the airstrikes. Let's see here. Lucas Sanderlin says, hey, boss, how long do you think it will take the Israelis to clear Gaza? And what do you think Trump's strike against Russia is going to be with their recent round of goofing around, or will nothing happen? All right, Lucas, that is a very, very particular question when we go talking about it. So when we talk about how long it's going to take Israel to clear through Gaza City, probably be done by December, January. This is a general timeline that I'm getting out of it, but also got the chance to sit down with Brigadier General Benny Gall, and he's not really putting a timeline on it for how long it's going to take them in order to conduct these operations. It's one of those, when it's done, it's done. We're dismantling Hamas. We are going to get rid of Hamas, and we are going to get our hostages and or their bodies back. Period. End of discussion. That's what's happening from this point forward. There is no more negotiations. There is no more anything. So if they don't quit and give up, that's what they're doing. And I don't believe Hamas is going to give up. I believe Hamas's plan is to have a complete and total destruction. But I would suspect it would take them quite a bit of time, right? Like 2+ months to be able to continue to push through properly and clear Gaza City just based on the target density map alone that I saw, which again was old stale information that has absolutely nothing to do with how much they've built up Gaza City since the production of that piece of intelligence, right? So there is a much more updated one with everything else. Spartan Warlord says, I'm still waiting on my no food for Gaza shirt. Yep, haven't quite produced that one yet. That's not happening. Bronx Guy Gun Hillard coming in, gifting out a Speak the Truth membership. As far as if the United States is going to end up striking Russia, no, I don't believe the United States is going to end up striking Russia as badly as a lot of people want that to happen. I don't think the U.S. is going to end up striking mainland Russia, although I think it would send a pretty dang good message to Putin personally. What do I think that we're going to end up doing? I think we're going to end up providing a hell of a lot better targeting information to Ukraine, number one. Number two, I think the United States is likely, if we do, be striking Russia, Russia's not going to know it's the United States that's striking it. We're likely going to do something that's a little bit more covert in order to take out some of their stuff to have a much larger impact on the battle space. And that's all I'm going to end up saying about that. Here you have a Hamas terrorist that is running for his life. Gaza Hillbillies. I like that one. I like that one. Gaza Hillbillies. Yeah. I mean, they're just chasing these guys down, gunning them down left and right. I'm still waiting on my No Food for Gaza shirt. Yep, we talked about that one. Bronx Guy gifting us Speak the Truth membership. Appreciate you as you guys sit here watching people give their lives up to Allah. Wow, you caught that one, Jasmine. Very impressive. I'm not sure what Jasmine, your country is run by a clown show. Yeah, oh, Jasmine, are you? Yeah, that's right. You're Canadian. Your country is ran by a clown show. I refuse to even comment on Canadian politics because they're so ridiculous, to be honest. But the interesting part about this, clearly here you have a blurred out man that ended up getting, I don't know, died for the cause. And just laying around. There's an AK that they ended up finding. Here you can see it's blown to shit. Interesting part about this one, down here at the bottom of this image, this is the spring for the magazine, which is still inserted into the rifle. And you can see how everything is kind of worked its way out and popped out the top, which is kind of cool, which I don't see any other destruction going on there. But with the top of that AK blown off and all of that happening, I can only assume that this AK was involved in some sort of an airstrike and his body and his ammunition decided to go flying. So there's that. Now let's keep going on over here on the next one. Then you have a little RPG tube sitting right next to the blown up AK, and there's your primary weapons of terror over inside of Gaza. Heck yeah, baby. Now this fighting allegedly took place right over here off of Haifa Street and Al Sinai Street over inside of Gaza City. Woo, stop it. Let me get this video up for you guys. Yeah. So I have no doubt that over the next couple days, because word is right now that some people are starting to push into Gaza City, that there's Israeli tanks at least rolling down, and that they also have several other people that are stacked up waiting to kind of go in, just basically waiting to get cut loose to go in there. So when they get cut loose to go in there, that's when you're going to start seeing heavy fighting taking place on the ground. I hate to say it, but you're also going to end up you're going to know when that takes place, because there is going to be mass casualty incidents on the Israeli side. If there's not one single mass casualty incident or multiple mass casualty incidents by the IDF coming out of there, I would be extremely shocked. I would bet that their hospitals do get overwhelmed, just like we saw in the early days of the war, where you have medevac flights going in and out and over them. That's how you know this is actually taking place. And I haven't seen any of those yet that are coming out. Israel's been very good about making sure that they are kind of close-lipped on everything. But just so you know, yes, that is happening. Now, good friend of ours has made an appearance back in the media. I can't believe I got shown this, but I've got to do it. I'm sorry, I got to do it, especially now that I have evidence against it.
This future Gaza Riviera resort plan is going to make people billions. This is about money, which is really the sickening part of this. This isn't about Hamas. This isn't about religion. This isn't about who owns the land. This is about money. And it's disgusting.
Well, it's about money, according to him, and who owns the land. Only problem is what this lying piece of shit that needs to get kicked out of our regiment and have his tab revoked and thrown into jail for trying to get Americans killed over there. What he failed to mention is that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation runs out of money at the end of December. And if that happens, those kids that he claims to care about, which I haven't seen him come out and celebrate that Aboud is alive. Thank God Aboud is alive. I haven't seen him come out yet and celebrate that. You would think he would, but he won't. Actually heard him try to claim that that's not the case of what actually happened. Anyways, I'm about to embarrass him here because she asked him a question and he didn't exactly answer it very honestly. And, you know, I've said before that I have text messages and information and things like that. And I'm going to read one for you guys. I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but I'm just going to go ahead and read maybe a small portion of this message that I have in my possession that I hope he sues me for. That way I can actually call him out for being a lying, disgruntled POS. That's what I'm waiting on. So that way I can actually subpoena him and get all of his information and figure out who's funding him after he said that for some reason he believes GHF is funding me, which I haven't taken a dime from anybody, not even on this last trip. Nor will I. So let's go ahead and take a look. Ooh, hold on. I want to have this message at hand and at the ready. Almost there. Almost there. I'm going to actually give you a direct Aguilar quote that hasn't been released yet. Ah, yes. That's a beautiful quote that I'm ended up reading because screw that guy.
Is retired Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Aguilar. He's a former Green Beret who served in the U.S. Army for 25 years. In July, he blew the whistle on the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, after working for the group weeks earlier.
The GHF is not a humanitarian organization. The GHF doesn't have the ability to do any humanitarian aid mission. And
well, we're going to stop right there. They don't have the ability to do a humanitarian aid mission. Well, too bad Mr. Aguilar has no idea what the hell, literally no idea what the hell he's talking about. I don't know if you guys have seen this video.
Murdered 9 of our local workers, Palestinians, their fellow Gazans, on the bus, killing 9 of them on video. And I don't know if you want me to explain that. So that,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was one of our non-lethal tactics.
Would we be able to walk up just to see what
we're gonna? Yeah. When you're done up here.
Now, can we go walk up there? But I really do want people to understand there's nothing to hide here as we go out and showing what's going on. And here we have them actually extending a litter to help some people out.
Yeah, so they're often heat injuries. That's what, I'm not a medical expert, that's what it looks like to me. So they're gonna bring her back, check her out. If it is a heat injury, they'll give her electrolytes and some water in the shade.
Yeah.
Back up a little bit, get out of their way, and we can, so this is Samaritan's Purse.
What do you say they don't have the ability to do this? Now, there is a 1 hour straight of footage that I ended up publishing earlier today that shows that, oh yeah, they most definitely have the ability to conduct humanitarian operations. Like, that's not a question at this point in time, and the people absolutely love them to death.
And they don't care. They are there to stake claim. They are there to stake property.
The shadowy U.S. Israeli-backed organization set up 4 so-called aid distribution sites in Gaza in May 2025. Since then, more than 2,000 Palestinians have been killed at these sites.
2,000 Palestinians have been killed at those sites, according to this lady. Well, let's just take a little bit of a deeper walk down that video I was just sharing with you guys, because I think it's kind of important. Right here is me and Chap and Faye standing right in the middle of a women's only distribution.
You know what, another great story? Speaking, we're at a women's distribution. Yeah. Another phenomenal story I recently learned about that day. One of our guys got started to pull down into the stampede and his life was in danger. A group of about 6 to 12 aid seeker women came to his rescue, pulled the crowd off of him, pulled him out, and brought him, in a reversible role, brought him to the safe side. Me. That is a true story. Multiple lives were saved that day, both by the aid seekers and by our security personnel. I keep telling you, this is a story that's not getting out. You again?
Okay. Yes, I love you too, America.
I have no chocolate. I'll see if...
Man, those kids really hate us. As you can tell, they're really happy. Apparently, they're really happy that GHF gunned down 2,000 people. Wrong again. It's not how that works. You don't have people love you that much out there. You know what they do when you end up killing people? They spit on you. They throw rocks at you. They hate you. They lose it. That's what happens. Not a snowball's chance in hell that GHF murdered anywhere near 2,000 people out there. You know what else I ended up getting when I was out there? A really beautiful video. I think I shared it over on X a little bit earlier today, and maybe it's time for me to grab it. August 3rd. Really interesting that this IED was placed on August 3rd. This IED was placed outside of SDS2 on August 3rd. You guys can see there that big explosion going on. Now, this happened to be the same day Aguilar allegedly interviewed Aboud's stepmother. And on there, ended up telling her that, yeah, they want candy. They always want candy. Allegedly interviewed Aboud's stepmom over for a nonprofit organization, right? Where she claimed, allegedly, which she didn't, that her kid had been missing for 2 months. 2 days later, he ends up getting out of there with his mom, and come to find out that none of that happened. Now, this is an IED placed along the footpath of SDS2 where everybody would come running in. And it was, again, taken on August 3rd. So what would have happened, the civilians would have showed up the next day, came running in, and this massive explosive device would have gone off and killed hundreds of them as they came running in. And you know for a fact they would have blamed it on Israel, and they would have blamed it on GHF. If these freaking animals are willing to blow up their own people to push that narrative, it really makes you wonder why. And we're going to get there in just a hot second. But that is a lovely, lovely, lovely video. I couldn't be more thankful for GHF willing to give that up for me so that I could share that with you guys back here at home. But yeah, we're not done yet. We got to go back to Aguilar and his BS conversation.
In a desperate attempt to get food. In early September, the Washington Post published a leaked prospective plan for a Gaza Riviera. The plan would require the forced displacement of Gaza's entire population and put the territory under U.S. control for at least a decade. The Israelis behind GHF were reportedly some of the same ones who developed the proposal, with help from the U.S. firm Boston Consulting Group.
That rendering is on the wall in the control center at Korea.
No, it's not. It's not. I was just there. It's not in there.
Shalom for the GHF. The GHF are a part of it. There's no mystery as to why the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is only in the south, and they've staked their claim in the most valuable real.
Because the north is the major war zone, you frickin' animal. That's why. Because they want the people to flee from the north into the south because they're launching an assault on Gaza City. It's not that difficult. It's really not. God, just look at his face. He's got like one of those faces of people you just want to punch.
Estate in all of Gaza. And who are their investors? Well, they won't tell us.
Were contractors with GHF well compensated?
For all of us and what we were getting paid, $1,320 a day. A day.
Yeah. $1,320 a day. Let's assume that figure's accurate. Well, let me put it this way. The road I traveled on in order to get out there, along the Philadelphia corridor and then going up to SDS 3, right? That's right outside of Al-Mawasi. In order to get up there, it's on like the western side of Gaza, right? Like northwestern side of Gaza, northwestern side of Rafah. 4 IDF soldiers were killed traveling along that road the day after I left. I'm going to say that again. 4 Israeli Defense Force soldiers were killed traveling along that road the day that I left. They have hired retired SOF personnel in order to make this happen. And the results speak for themselves. I don't know if you saw everybody sitting down there waiting to get food and everything else. If you were to pay lesser money, I promise you'd get lesser talent, and you're not going to be getting soft guys going in there for a couple $100 a day in order to get that freaking job done. It's dirty, dirty work. You're out there, you're living at this SDS in the middle of freaking Gaza, and there's gunfire going off all around it pretty much the entire time I was there. And these guys aren't really defending themselves at all. 2 of them got wounded with a freaking homemade grenade that kids threw at them. I don't know if you guys missed that portion of the interview. Yeah. They're getting paid for the work that they're doing because they are quite literally keeping people alive. They figured out how to organize and distribute aid to people who, prior to them arriving, had not received 1 ounce of humanitarian aid for free. UNRWA and the World Food Program and everybody else, according to the Palestinian people, said that they made them pay for it. So there's that. So that mass hysteria that you saw on day 1, all right, when they first opened up on May 27th, is because everybody was in panic mode because they thought they'd have to steal their food because UNRWA wouldn't allow them to do it. But yeah, come on, Aguilar, let's keep it going.
That was just the run-of-the-mill person. If you're in a leadership position, site leader, mobile leader, you're making $1,600 a day. Not to mention the people under the contract, the people that run the contract, they're making millions. Millions.
Aguilar says he saw firsthand how GHF prioritized money over the lives of Palestinians in Gaza when an Israeli officer ordered a soldier to shoot children for climbing on a wall at one of the aid sites.
I was like,
oh, really? That's what he saw? Are you sure that's the story you want to commit to, Mr. Aguilar? You want to commit to that?
and I will say this tonight, and I've said it before, I have never said that I felt that the IDF in that situation were shooting at them on purpose. I've never said that.
He never said that. He never said that the okay, well, there's that, I guess. IDF shooting at them on purpose, I guess. I don't know. But now he does, apparently. So he never said it. Now he says it. So you tell me, because before he didn't think it was a thing, but now he does.
Like, did you just order your snipers at site number 2 to shoot these kids? He said, well, if you're not going to take care of it, I will. And I was like, we're not.
Hold on. Nope. That's definitely what he was saying. Let's hear this again real quick.
Never said that I felt that the IDF in that situation were shooting at them on purpose. I've never said that.
Okay.
I don't think that. There are people that
So he doesn't think that. He doesn't think it, but now he does. Weird. I don't know. It's almost like he's got an agenda, like he's been called out for lying. So at this point in time, now you're a confirmed liar. You either lied to me or you lied to that lady. And based on the preponderance of the evidence, sir, it would definitely appear like you lied to that lady. As a matter of fact, I've said it before. What is it? The president of the Special Forces Association parachute team called you a pathological liar, and that you claimed that you got injured over inside of Gaza when a building you were in got blown up. So let's talk about that story real quick, shall we? Is that where you got your other Purple Heart? Is it? Is that where you got your other Bronze Star for Valor? I don't know. No idea. Maybe it was inside of a building in Gaza where you got blown up. But yeah, the man called you a pathological liar. By the way, he also said that he stands by his statements and that if anybody wants to ask him about it. So Aguilar, why don't you go ahead, give him a call, put him on the phone. You know the guy. Ask him whether or not he told me that. Do it. Seeing how you want to threaten me and tell me that you're recording everything that I say. Go ahead, call the president of the SFA parachute team and ask him whether or not you're a pathological liar and that you told him that you got blown up in a building over inside Gaza. Go ahead, give him a call.
Shooting children. You are not going to shoot at these children. As we're having this dialogue, the children had run off to the edge of this wall and they jumped down so they could run away. So thank God we didn't have to see what would have come. But in that moment, the Safe Reach Solutions contract lead, the boss, if you will, who was in the operations center, said to me, Tony, never say no to the client. And I said, what do you mean? Don't say no to the client. And he said, the IDF are our client. We work for them. They're in charge. And I was like, even when they say to kill children? He said, what decisions they make and how they want to fight this war, who they decide to kill or not, is not our decision. This is a contract. This is business. Don't say no to our client.
And did you step down at that point?
I told him at that point, I said, I'm done.
Really? You told him at that point that you're done. Hold on. I got to put your face on the screen while I read this message out that you sent, sir. On June 16th. June 16th, you said this, Mr. Aguilar. Jameson and Nate called me and said, stay put. You are getting paid. Stay in the hotel. Want to hear from us. Wait to hear from us. So I'm waiting. If they follow through with the termination and send me home, it's war. On the 16th of June. I feel like I can drop the mic right now and just walk away. Do it. Sue me. I dare you. I dare you. You lying piece of garbage. Now, something else that you guys might not be aware of is that when I was over inside of Gaza, after I ended up leaving there, I ended up stopping by Kogat. And guess what I found? That's a bottle of hydrochloric acid, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this wasn't giving to me, right? Somebody didn't say, hey, here this is. No, I quite literally had to convince this guy to let me go inside and take a look at this. He actually tried to give me the old dog and pony show that you would probably give to all the other social media influencers. Too bad he didn't know who Matt Tardio is, because I ended up bringing some facts. Pat Loudon says his last line of lies was losing traction. Now he seems like he's starting new ones. Correct. Correct. It's amazing. The guy's a liar. So here we have this. Hydrochloric acid being smuggled in through humanitarian aid going into Gaza. I had to have an argument with this guy. It wasn't like he took me, put me in a back room, or did anything like that. Like, I had to literally sit there and argue with the guy for 5 minutes in order to get him to show me this. Now, some of you guys might be like, oh, but Matt, there's no way that's where that was taken. This is a staged photo. This is all set up. Well, unfortunately for you, I had my location turned on. And you can clearly see Karim Shalom and where it plots down on the map. This is not something I made up. Metadata is right there up on your screen for you. You can see that I myself took that picture on September 16th at 12:56 p.m. Hydrochloric acid being smuggled in via humanitarian aid going into the Gaza Strip, getting confiscated over 120 tons in the last week prior to me showing up. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why Hamas wants to make sure and people like Aguilar are being promoted, because as long as they're being promoted and their message is getting pushed and they can convince you that this is happening, then all of a sudden, we don't have to worry about it. But God forbid UNRWA, for example, is allowed to do it, because when UNRWA does it, they're allowed to recover their hydrochloric acid, keep sending, humanitarian aid, because the kids in Gaza need their hydrochloric acid. Thank you very much, UN. This is Hamas fighters using UN vehicles outside of a UN facility outside of Rafah. Now, that within itself is extremely damaging footage, right? Like this stuff took place for so long. So this does multiple things for Hamas. It allows them to go and recover all of their munitions and stuff that are being sent in. So somebody says, why acid? Because when you're making explosives, such as those that you need, it's a good question. It's a good question why that's so important. Because of things like this, right? In order to set these off, you need different particular types of explosives, some of them very, very sensitive. And not to give you like away too much, but when you're mixing explosives, right? Think Breaking Bad type stuff, right? When you're mixing up these explosives, one of the last things that you end up adding is an acid. And the acid ends up working like a catalyst, and it takes and it binds those different explosive crystals together, causes them to sink down to the bottom, and you filter them out. And those crystals are essentially the explosive, and you got to clean them off and do everything else. And then those, my friend, are your explosive compound that you end up using. So it binds different things together, pulls them out, and then you could use those. So hydrochloric acid, you can also take it and distill it and turn it into nitric acid, and another good potent chemical that you're going to need in order to manufacture explosives. It's not easy to get. It's hard to get. And it's got to be at a particular concentration, so on and so forth, right? So having that is what allows them to do this, to target civilians and kill people inside of Gaza. That's why it's such a big deal. And when that stuff is getting smuggled in through humanitarian aid, now it makes sense why Hamas wants it. As I've been telling you before, they're able to then go get that stuff, recover it, and take it back into Gaza, right? And in addition to that, they also get to control the distribution of food. If they can control the distribution of food, then they can continue to manufacture the crisis that they have going on over in there. That's why. I don't know. What's Aguilar's angle? Figure out why he was speaking at a CARE event. Now, I'm sure he's going to sit back and he's going to say nobody's funding him, right? But for somehow his rent's getting paid. Somehow, according to what he's told me, he has a team of attorneys, which teams of attorneys that he meets with every week. I think it was Tuesday, if I remember correct, is when he told me that he meets with his team of attorneys. So maybe all of these people are acting pro bono, but I would think with the travel and all of the other crap that he's doing, yeah, it might cost him a little bit, right? And yet somehow he's able to stay funded and floating. Kind of odd, don't you think? Right. So that's why they'd want hydrochloric acid to be able to put in there and to be able to control it. Now, they have not been... them controlling humanitarian aid is not something that's new. As a matter of fact, this video that I'm about to show you comes from, I want to say it was October 29th from CNN.
Medicine and water shortage. Excuse me. The situation in Gaza is becoming increasingly difficult for citizens trapped there. Video from Saturday shows people storming a United Nations warehouse and leaving with bags of food. Today, 40 more aid trucks are expected to enter Gaza. So, UN workers inside of Gaza, a lot of people think that these people get sent by the UN. They don't. They're local nationals. So prior to all this crap, Hamas ends up infiltrating the UN, ends up getting a bunch of employees on their payroll over inside of Gaza, ends up manufacturing this food crisis because that promises them two things. Number one, that they have a constant flow of supplies once the Philadelphia corridor ended up getting shut off. And it gets delivered to them. They don't have to smuggle it through tunnels. They don't have to do anything. But by controlling the food as well, it also allows them to push the famine narrative that they can then blame on Israel. And additionally, when they do sell it on the market at inflated prices, they can use that money to further fund their war on terror against Israel, keeping those people hostage and not feeding them. This is kind of a little bit of a problem. Now, again, that was in October, but this last year when UNRWA ends up getting kicked out, guess what? Some of you guys remember this. The Palestinians raiding UNRWA facilities. Here you've got a UN facility outside of Rafah, not far from where I was at, that the Palestinians raided, stole a bunch of humanitarian aid out, and I don't even think it's stealing, just acquired the humanitarian aid that was supposed to go to them in the first place after all of that happened. And they were so pissed off at UNRWA that they actually set the entire building on fire afterwards. Will Call Magic says, can I donate shoes, or is it just donations to get them shoes? No. They're currently setting up right now, and this is something that we've been talking about. How do we get them shoes? How do we get them winter clothing? How do we make all of that stuff happen for those people down there? And again, this was like a interesting thing that we were talking about while we were over there, which is what is the way forward, right? And Israel's deciding what the way forward inside Gaza needs to be. And unfortunately, my thought process on this is it's not up to Israel what happens next. that it's actually up to the people inside of Gaza as to what the next step Israel takes are. And it's funny because the entire international community is looking at Israel saying, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do next? And the truth is that's all very dependent on the people inside of Gaza. And if there was a chance for peace, again, you guys know me, I'm not a humanitarian. It's not really what I do. But if there is a chance for peace, in my opinion, you better actually start like working on those people and spreading some love, right? So there is, if you guys go over, I want to say, hold on, let me get this up. I don't want to move any of this stuff. I'll move this one. I want to say it is, let me check the website real quick so I don't give you guys wrong. Yeah, there you go. GHF.org. When you're looking at like about GHF, what they do, who they are, delivering food aid, all of their stuff, there is ways to collaborate with them that are on here. So if anybody's running a humanitarian aid organization or anything like that, and they want to do that, they do have information on their website for how about doing that. I was actually told, because I asked, you know, if that type of stuff would come up, what do you do? How do you go about doing that? And they said, go over there and do it. I will tell you that all of these, and it's sad when you end up looking at this, you know, like these kids' faces that are on the screen, every single one of them has to be blurred. When you guys watch that video, there's a lot of things I put on there that are blurred out. Samaritan's Purse is over there working with GHF as well. So you can donate to Samaritan's Purse and they're able to put things out that way as well. Sorry, Matt, I think that drain run away. I don't know what that means, my friend. I really don't know what that means at all. When you say you think that drain run away, that's just it's just not it. I'll tell you what drain has run away, and that drain that has ran away is yeah, I don't know, all of it, I guess, all of it. Why? I don't know. It kills me inside. I think at the lack of humanity amongst some people. You know, I told you guys that it's a good thing to do to pray for your enemies, and I still do believe that, not because I think so, but because you're commanded to do so. But at the same time, we got to also remember that people are still people. People do make bad choices, and when you go back to what Fatah is teaching, like the kids over there, where the Quran is the weapon and the ammunition is the children, the ammunition needs taken away from them, right? Like you guys, believe it or not, in my opinion, can actually fight this war by taking the ammunition away from the guns and actually being nice to the kids. You know, what you're starting is generational change. And it's going to take generational change for like that way forward when you start talking about the different things that they've been indoctrinated, the way those schools have been ran over there, all of that crap. Is how you actually change things for the way forward. So the two organizations that are actually doing work in there, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and Samaritan's Purse, they are working. GHF is working through, I think what the word was that he used was some bureaucratic loopholes or some garbage like that in order to get those different donations rolling into them so that you guys can send those in. I know if you do, they're going to end up, you know, taking care of that. So maybe that's something we as a channel help to organize and get them out. Glad to see you're back safe and sound in America. Thanks, man. It's good to be safe and sound back in America. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of nice. Still a little bit catching up on sleep. My brain is not firing on all cylinders, but it's going to continue, right? I'm going to keep continuing. We're going to keep going. I honestly, I thought for the life of me that all of this Charlie Kirk crap would be done by the time that I got home, but looks like the conspiracy theories are raging as hard as ever, you know, than they were before. So got that to look forward to. Got asked a lot of questions about Charlie Kirk yesterday, and I would just tell you guys that with that, it's just take it with a grain of salt. You don't really know what's going on over there with him. We don't have the autopsy results. The best statement I'm aware of that the Bureau has actually said is that he was shot from an adjacent building. Haven't seen them give an exact distance and or location for where that came from. Seen a lot of speculation. Seen a statement from a doctor, which in my opinion, I think violates HIPAA. So I'm not even quite sure if I believe that. And a lot of other people that are saying that there's some emails that suggest that Israel was after him. Funny though, because nobody's been able to produce those emails, even though they allegedly exist. Maybe we ought to just wait for some more information before drawing conclusions, which is why you guys don't see me commenting on it very much. William Russell says, thanks again, Matt, for all that you do. You rock. No, thank you guys for every single thing that you do. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be able to help out with everything that I've been doing. and that you guys kind of enjoy the show, for lack of better terms, I guess, because, I appreciate you guys. You guys most definitely are able to keep me rolling. Coming up in the near future, I'm actually talking with Aaron Milan. Hopefully we're going to be able to get some stuff together for you guys. See where you're going. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, peace, love, happiness, and God bless. You're over here. I'm out of here.